evening. It's so wonderful to be with you today. And certainly under these circumstances where we would have normally been meeting together to have a meal together, tonight we get to be part of an evening, a really special evening, as we introduce online Alpha here at Grace Point. And while I say Grace Point, I'm well aware of the fact that there are many people that aren't, although Grace Point is hosting this, there are many people aren't part of Grace Point, but we want you to know that whether you are part of the Grace Point family or not part of the Grace Point family, whether you're new to Grace Point, new to Alpha, new to this whole experience, that you are just incredibly welcome to be part of today's event. So welcome. I'm going to hand over to Jackie, who's going to kick us off.
Good evening, and it's really good to be able to be with you. We know that this is really different, the fact that we're actually not face-to-face, but we're online. So maybe what we can do is just send out a huge hello as we just greet everybody. It's just, you're going to find over the next couple of weeks, you're going to get to know people that you're doing this life journey with. And so Alpha is just an amazing course, and it is a worldwide course, and people all over the world are having to find a new normal, do things in new ways. Isn't that so true about this time? It's just kind of forced us to rethink life. And that's kind of really what Alpha is about. Alpha is about asking the questions about life and figuring out the answers in the journey. And so Craig, just kind of, maybe you can just help us a little bit tonight as you just share a little bit about what gets you involved in Alpha and what you can just tell people about what to expect and what this journey could be about.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Yeah, what a wonderful privilege to be here this evening. I've been involved in the church for many, many years, and I was fortunate, as you guys are aware, in 2017 to go across to the UK and to be part of Nicky Gumbel's conference, the Alpha Conference. Now, you're amongst thousands of Christians from all denominations, but what really resonated with me and really struck a chord in my heart was the testimonies. There were some incredible testimonies that were given. The authenticity of those testimonies, people who were lost, people that were, there were people that were destitute on the streets. There were CEOs of companies. There were people in jail that had just had no future and no hope. And they encountered Alpha, and they traveled this journey, and they entered hopeless, and they exited with a new hope and just a new perspective on life. And that really, really struck a chord with me. I came back to South Africa, got involved in Alpha at Grace Point, and then really lived and saw it actually happen in real life. I mean, we had people coming in when we started the journey that would walk in, and we'd have people that were angry, people that had questions, people that just, I suppose, didn't really have a purpose in life and were questioning, is there more to life than this? And as we journeyed with them, and as we exited at the end of the Alpha course, just to see that change in people, it really, really struck a chord with me. And I encourage people. And you ask the question, why? Well, I don't know where you are in life. I don't know where the individuals are in life. But if you have questions, if you want to know why is he evil in this world? If you want to know a little bit about Jesus. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be someone who's just finished school. You could be the CEO of a company. You could own your own business. It doesn't matter who you are. Alpha is for everybody. It's we try our hardest to create an environment that's unthreatening, that's friendly, that's welcoming. And just we encourage people just to come along, and it'll be online, to ask the questions and just to journey with us. I've got no doubt that, based on what I've seen, that you may start hopeless, but you very well could end with a lot of hope in your life.
It's incredible, Craig. Thank you so much. One of the things that I love about Alpha is also hearing the testimonies of different people. And Irene, you've got an amazing testimony, and we were hoping that you'd maybe just tell us a bit about your life and your testimony, and not only us, but also those who are watching online.
Yes, I do. When I came into Alpha, I really was hopeless and lost and confused. And it sort of felt like even some of the decisions I've made over the years were suddenly weighing down on me. So when I came into Alpha, it was like, okay, let me give this a try and see where I end up. Life itself wasn't so much fun anymore. And it felt like all the fun decisions I made and not so fun ones were now right on top of my head, and I felt like I was sinking. But coming into Alpha every single week and asking all those questions that even though I had been a Christian for so many years, I just couldn't get past. It was like a true encounter with love itself. The people were so welcoming and the answers were so spot on to the deepest shames and vulnerability I had it deep in my heart. So I cannot stress it enough. If you have any fear, confusion, and hopelessness, and no direction, to try Alpha. I had done the Christian walk for 25 years. I had managed to get so many things accomplished, but deep with myself, there was a deep void that I just couldn't get through. And all the things that I used to do were not helping anymore, and Alpha was like a godsend.
Sure, I mean, that's so incredible. You know, just as you were speaking, you just said something that resonated with me. You said, you know, I've been a Christian for so long, I've done the Christian thing for so long, but there was something that just needed to shift. You know? And I think that's so true for so many people, that it's like kind of we reach a place where we're not too sure about, even if we're Christians. And I think that's what Alpha is also for. It's not just for people that, you know, are beginning to wonder about Christianity. It's also for people that have been Christians for a while.
Yes, because I found I knew to pray, I knew to fast, but I had gotten to a point even where all that was starting not to make sense anymore. So I was starting to question, is there purpose in serving God? Or should I look at other ways and other route to do life?
I just love the fact that, you know, and I know that there are many topics, and we're going to maybe just hear a little bit now about some of the topics that we do, but one of the topics that we speak about is the Holy Spirit. And there's a sense that, like, I love the John Wesley story, because John Wesley has this, his heart strangely warmed, and this course is like, it's information, but it's also about discovering the presence of God's Holy Spirit.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm going to hand over now. I'm going to introduce you to Sonia. So Sonia leads and facilitates the journey, and you're going to share a little bit about what to expect, kind of what are the topics, and just tell us a little bit more about what the next couple of weeks are going to look like, Son.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Firstly, I just want to say the reason why I do Alpha is exactly, Irene was in my group, so I actually got to witness that and to feel it and go on that journey with her. What is amazing about Alpha is that it's not just a Christian course. The way the Christian faith is actually presented, it's very creative. You go on a journey. So basically what would happen, a typical evening would be that everybody would go online now. Normally we would meet, we would chat.
Okay, so help us. So we're going on Zoom, right?
No, actually it's not Zoom. Alpha's actually come up with their own platform.
Perfect.
It's actually far simpler. You just need an internet connection and you'll be able to log on and get into it. Brenda will be taking you through that on the reasons why we've gone online. So you'll connect online, we'll chat, and then we'll go onto a video. Everybody will watch a video together. You will get an opportunity to see the first video tonight. And then after that, we break up into small groups. You ask questions. You discuss what the topic was for the evening. It might be who Jesus is. Why do we pray? Is anybody actually even listening when we pray? Why do bad things happen to good people? And no question is taboo. You can actually just ask whatever on your heart, whatever you want to ask, is in a safe, non-judgmental environment. And if you don't want to speak, you don't have to speak. We've had people that haven't spoken for the whole journey. It's not a problem. You just need to be yourself. And then once we've finished with the group, we'll basically say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll join on the next week. And every week just leaves you wanting a little bit more.
Thank you, Sonia. That's amazing. So, Brenda, tell us a bit more about why it is that we're going online.
So, thank you, Gary. In these times, we're all very uncertain about a lot of things, and our social distance is one of the biggest things that we worry about. So that's why Alpha has adapted, and Alpha has gone online. Also, what's wonderful about it is there's no more rush hour traffic in the evening. There is no more worrying about driving home late at night. There's no more worrying about babysitters. And the Alpha platform is really, really easy. So you don't have to be tech savvy about any of this. All you need is, as Sonia said, that internet connection from home. So what we would like you to do is, if your friends and family haven't registered yet, please ask them to send an email to alpha@gracepoint.co.za. We will register them and send them their login details. And all we want to do is ask you to try Alpha online.
So tell us a little bit, Bren, about, so you'll get the login details, you'll log in. We're familiar with Zoom now. It's kind of like one of the terms that we all know about. So is it a similar kind of platform to Zoom that we'll see people's faces? Do we have to go on screen? Can we not use our camera? Tell us about how it'll actually
Whatever
work.
makes you comfortable. So yes, we'll all connect initially via Zoom, and we will be able to see all of the people that are joining. And then we will send you a link just in the little chat. You connect on the link and it'll take you into your small groups. If you don't want to have your camera on, please don't have your camera on, but we'll watch the DVD all together. And you will always want to put your camera on because it's wonderful just to be able to see and connect people. And you need to know who that person is when they are asking these difficult questions and questions that most of the time you've wanted to ask yourself and you just never have. So, but whatever makes you comfortable.
Thanks, Brenda. What I find exciting about this and why I'd want to be part of it is because the first time we were involved with Alpha was in 1997. We went to a church in East London that was doing Alpha, and it was almost our first experience with Alpha. And since then, as we've fallen in love with Alpha because we've seen how it's changed. We're in the life-changing business in essence, And so when we see people move and journey closer to God, some, as you said, from being complete agnostic or atheists I've known people that have been so angry with God because of things that have happened, and then have come into a loving experience of Christ through Alpha, because they've been able to ask really tough questions that they've always wanted to ask about life and about their own life, to watch the transformation. But not only that, to be part of something where over 20 million people across the world have been part of. I mean, that's got to tell you something about the impact that Alpha makes in people's lives. But we can talk about the corporate stuff, we can talk about everything else in that, but the essence of Alpha, though, is that it's a personal journey that transforms your life, and that's really exciting. So I think we're going to watch the clip now, is that correct? Yeah, so we're gonna watch the first one. So what is the title of this one tonight, Sonia?
Is there more to life than this?
Fantastic. Is there more to life than this? So we're going to hand over to the Alpha team. Enjoy this video, and we look forward to seeing you again once it's done.
Can you get a mic check?
Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to Alpha. Life is busy. Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? What's happening today? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions. Like, why am I here? Where am I heading? Is this it? Is there more to life than this? These are life's big questions, but there's rarely enough time to think them through properly.
We all have different perspectives on the meaning of life and faith, and Alpha is an opportunity to explore life's big questions.
This is a great place to come together and talk about them openly and honestly. I'm Gemma.
I'm Toby.
And this is Alpha.
I go on Google.
I definitely Google.
I go on Wikipedia.
Internet.
I scroll through all the different answers, and then I try and combine it, and then make my own kind of like cornerstone.
Or smart friends.
I don't ask big life questions. It's too hard to answer.
Google or my grandmother.
I meditate or I read.
When I have a big life questions, I probably go to my family.
I haven't really had any massive ones yet.
It's my mom or my dad, basically.
My mom and my dad, maybe my grand.
I get most of my answers from the library in any section there because I don't really trust the people that I'm around.
The key is always to yourself. You got to figure some things out for yourself.
If I'm confused, I go to him first. And he confuses me more.
But when it's something more personal, I try to find it within myself first.
Friends of mine told me that the first night they came to Alpha, they sat in their car for half an hour waiting and watching people going in. And eventually when they'd seen enough normal looking people going in, they thought they'd give it a try.
And one thing that might be going through your mind is, am I going to be the only one there who doesn't believe all this stuff, who's not a Christian, that doesn't go to church? Well, if that's you, then you're in the right place. Alpha is designed for people who wouldn't call themselves Christians or who are not regular churchgoers.
It might feel a bit strange to be discussing life and faith with people that you've never met before, but the best thing about Alpha is often the great friendships that are formed over the weeks.
For much of my life, I was not remotely interested in Christianity. In fact, I don't think I'd ever come to something like Alpha. I was not brought up as a Christian. My father was a secular Jew. He was an agnostic, and my mother didn't go to church, and I had no interest at all in Christianity. First of all, I just thought it was so boring. Everything to me about church, Christianity, religion was just dull and dreary, and it kind of made me feel a little bit guilty. I didn't know why, but I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I also thought it was untrue. I thought I'd sort of thought it through, and I'd come up with these intellectual objections, and I called myself, very pretentiously, I called myself a logical determinist. And I quite enjoyed arguing with people who called themselves Christians. And at university, I had a bit of a reputation for being an argumentative atheist. And I also thought it was irrelevant to my life. I couldn't see how someone who'd lived 2,000 years ago, 2,000 miles away, could have any relevance to my life today. It just seemed outdated and irrelevant. But at the same time, looking back now, I would say something was missing. I say that because I don't think I was living in the moment. I was always looking forward to the next thing in life. So when I was at school, I was thinking, when I finish my exams, maybe that will be when I'm going to really start to enjoy life. I finished my exams, and then after about 3 weeks, I started to think there's got to be more to life than this. And I thought, well, maybe when I've left school, that will be what life's all about. And then I left school, and after about 3 weeks, I started to think, there's got to be more to life than this. I thought, well, maybe the answer is to get a girlfriend. And somehow, I don't know how I managed it, but I managed to find a girlfriend. Again, after about 3 weeks, I started to think, there's got to be more to life than this. And basically, there was something missing. I was longing for more.
The actor Jim Carrey once said, "I wish everyone could get rich and famous and have everything they've ever dreamed of, so they would know that's not the answer." Some people dream of having their name in lights, of fame and fortune. Some people dream of finding happiness through relationships, careers, money, whatever it may be. But do you ever get that niggly feeling that, as good as those things are, there must be more to life?
Yeah, all too often life just doesn't turn out the way we think it should. And even when it does and we achieve our wildest dreams, it's somehow never quite enough. It just doesn't satisfy. It's like there's something missing. The comedian and actor Russell Brand said, "Drugs and alcohol are not my problem. Reality is my problem. Drugs and alcohol are my solution to fill up a hole inside me." And Jesus said, "I am the bread of life." In other words, I'm the one who fulfills the longing that's deep inside every human heart. Jesus claimed to be the one person who can satisfy that spiritual hunger.
Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of the rock group Queen, had amassed a huge fortune and attracted millions of fans. But he admitted in an interview shortly before his death that he was desperately lonely. He said this, "You can have everything in the world and still be the loneliest man, and that's the most bitter type of loneliness. Success has brought me world idolization and millions of pounds, but it's prevented me from having the one thing we all need, a loving, ongoing relationship."
Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Ultimately, there's only one relationship that is totally loving and goes on forever, and that's a relationship with God. And Jesus said, "I am the way to that relationship."
happiness? Maybe money?
What makes me happy? Music. Music, ice cream, and cheese.
Sleep makes me happy.
Going to the gym, seeing my friends, going to the pub, playing football.
Dogs.
Alcohol. Women. Pretty much.
The idea of life in general makes me happy.
Clothes. Women.
More to life than this.
That's a really good question.
I don't know, I can't tell you.
I think we're supposed to learn a couple of things. There's nothing more.
I'm still figuring that out, to be honest.
No. Let's live in the moment.
Absolutely. I strongly believe that there's more to life than this.
No idea. Sorry.
When I was about 17, I was sitting having a burger with two friends, and we were looking out the window and commenting on a few of the stores across the street, and I suddenly realized that I couldn't read any of the signs, even if I squinted. So I asked if I could borrow one of my friend's pair of glasses, and as soon as I put them on, I realized I could see everything, like colors, shapes, words. I was amazed at how everything was so clear. And I could see before, but now I could really see. And to me, that's the best way to describe the difference that Jesus makes. Jesus is the lens through which we see God. And he's also the lens by which we see the world in a totally different way.
Jesus said, I am the truth. Some people's response to a Christian might be, well, it's great for you, you found meaning and purpose in your life, but it's not for me. But when you think about it, that's not actually a logical position, because if Christianity is true, it's of vital importance to every one of us. And if it's not true, it's not great for us, because it means we're deluded. C.S. Lewis was one of the great intellectual giants of the 20th century, probably best known as the author of the Chronicles of Narnia. He said this: Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important. I come from a family of lawyers, so naturally I wanted to look at the original documents and sources. I never really looked at the evidence before, and I was astonished at how much evidence there is for the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. For me, it was through reading these documents that we find in the New Testament that I came to the conclusion, it's true. One of the last cases I did as a lawyer was in the Court of Appeal in front of Lord Denning, an absolutely brilliant mind, perhaps the greatest judge of the 20th century. He said on one occasion that his Bible was his most tattered book in his library. He'd examined the evidence really carefully, and he came to the conclusion, it's true. One former professor of history at Oxford University described the resurrection as the best attested fact in history. I hadn't realized how many of the pioneers of modern science were believers. Descartes, Newton, Kepler, Galileo, Locke, Copernicus, Faraday, Kelvin, Pasteur. Francis Collins, one of the greatest scientists of our time, was director of the Human Genome Project, mapping the 3 billion letters in the human DNA, considered by many to be the most significant scientific undertaking of our time. He describes how he encountered Jesus and came to believe in the truth of Christianity.
Well, in the home where I grew up, faith was not something that was talked about very much. My father was a professor of drama, my mother a playwright. When I went to college and those discussions in the dorm late at night about religion began to occur, I had no particular reason to attach value to a faith system. It had never been something I was familiar with or had internalized at all. And I assumed that any religious feelings that anyone held must be on the basis of some emotional experience, and I didn't trust those, or on the basis of some childhood indoctrination, which I felt I was fortunate to have missed. I loved the experience of learning about the human body and all of the components of that, and I particularly loved being introduced to genetics. But then I ended up in the medical school curriculum sitting at the bedside of patients with diseases. This was no longer an abstract study of molecules and organ systems. These were real people. And one afternoon, one of my patients, a wonderful elderly woman, much like a grandmother, who had very bad heart disease. She had a particularly bad episode of chest pain while I was with her. She got through it, and at the end of that, explained to me how her faith was the thing that helped her in that situation. She realized that The doctors around her weren't really giving her that much help, but her faith was. And after she finished her own very personal description of that faith, she turned to me, and I had been silent, and she looked at me quizzically, and she said, "What do you believe, doctor?" And ultimately, I had to admit to myself that her question had made me realize that I had arrived at an answer to the most important issue that we humans ever deal with. Is there a God? And I had arrived there without ever really looking at the evidence. And I was supposed to be a scientist. If there's one thing scientists claim they do, is to arrive at conclusions based upon evidence. And I hadn't taken the trouble to do that. I was greatly assisted by a pastor who lived down the road, who I went and asked about all this, and who gave me a copy of C.S. Lewis's wonderful book, Mere Christianity. Because here was an Oxford scholar, a prodigiously developed intellect, who had traveled the same path. Within those pages, I realized for the first time that one can come to belief on a rational basis, and that in fact, given the many pointers that one sees around oneself in terms of the universe and it having a beginning, and its fine-tuning in terms of the way in which all those constants that determine the behavior of matter and energy seem to have been set just in a certain very precise range to make life possible. And many other things, including my beloved mathematics and why they actually work anyway to describe the universe, something that makes you think the Creator must have been a mathematician. That brought me then to the person of Jesus Christ as a person who was historically extremely well documented. That was news to me. I thought Christ was as much myth as history, and I realized after reading more about it, this was a historical figure upon which we have a great deal of evidence for his existence and his teachings, and even his rising from the dead in a literal way. That day at my patient's bedside started a journey for me, a journey that I was reluctant to begin, but I felt I needed to, a journey that I thought would result in strengthening my atheism, but to my surprise, resulted in my conversion.
There's a difference between knowing facts about someone and really knowing them personally. Now, I've known my husband Phil for 3 years now, but suppose if before we met, I found him on a website called The Amazing Man. Now, there's no doubt I would have looked at him and thought, okay, I'm intrigued. But what if each page was dedicated to his amazing abilities, his sparkling personality, his tender heart, his extraordinary intelligence, and his cooking abilities? Well, I would think, wow, he does sound like an amazing person. But that's head knowledge. But I also have the privilege of being married to him, and I know that he's an amazing person, which is knowledge that comes from experience of a relationship, and that's heart knowledge.
When Jesus said, "I am the truth," he was talking about more than just a kind of intellectual truth. The Hebrew understanding of truth was truth as experienced. And there's a big difference between a kind of intellectual knowledge and a personal knowledge, between your head and your heart. So when someone says, "I know Jesus is the truth," they're not just talking about being convinced of the evidence. They're also talking about experiencing a relationship with the risen Jesus Christ. So Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth," and lastly he said, "I am the life. I have come that you may have life and have it to the full." Jesus came to deal with the things in our lives that stop us from enjoying life to the full, the things that spoil our lives.
I hate shopping. I loathe it. I think I'm allergic to shopping. But occasionally my wife Pippa persuades me to go shopping, and just after Christmas it was the sales, and she persuaded me to go shopping, and we went into the shop and we bought this very nice new sweater, and same colour as all my other sweaters, and we left the shop and we went to buy a present for her, and we went into this ghastly shop. It was so crowded, it was unbelievable. And even Pippa had had enough and she said, "Okay, we're leaving." So we went to leave. And as we left, the security alarm went off. And the security guys moved in very quickly and they stopped us all from leaving. And like the crowd that was trying to leave was stopped, and the crowd that was trying to come in was stopped. And we were there right in the middle. The 6 of us who were going through the security at that one time were all taken off and sectioned off from all the rest. And they wanted to see which one of the 6 of us had set off the alarm. So they sent one of them through, and that was fine. They obviously hadn't set it off. Then they sent the next one through. They obviously hadn't set it off. Then the third, then the fourth. None of them set it off. So it was left with Pippa and I were standing there, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm married to a shoplifter. It must be Pippa who's got set off the alarm. So they sent her through, and she didn't set it off. So I thought, oh my goodness, I've obviously got something. Someone must have planted something on me. I'm going to be arrested. I'm going to be sent to prison. All the crowd were watching, both sides. They were just watching this criminal who'd been caught going through. So they went through, and as I went through, the alarm went off. They took me to the side. They opened up my rucksack on my back, and there they found this sweater from the other shop with the tag still on it. I felt so guilty. That was like false guilt. I also sometimes experience true feelings of guilt because I do things that are not right, that are not good. And this is the wonderful news that God loves you and he loves me. God came in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ, to die for you and for me. And on the cross, he took all of your guilt, all of my guilt, everything you've ever done wrong, everything I've ever done wrong, said wrong, thought wrong, and he died in our place in order that we could be forgiven. And forgiveness, C.S. Lewis said, it's like a recording of our life wiped completely clean. And when we receive that forgiveness, we find life, and life in all its fullness. And that's what Jesus wants for you and for me. Life in all its fullness. Life at its very, very best.
I think for so many years, I always just strived to be strong in myself. And it was as if that all I needed was me and my buddies and, we'd be like invincible. But the truth is, none of us are. And I don't want to do this thing called life. I don't want to do it on my own. And it kind of feels like my longing for this light inside is now stronger than my fear of what others might think. And people often ask, well, doesn't that make faith like a crutch? And, well, maybe, but, what does a crutch do? A crutch helps you stand, and it makes you stronger. And in that case, sure, I need a bit of that. But especially when it's so much more than that. When this faith inside is also like a backbone, helping me stand tall and helping me be strong when I'm really up against it, facing those odds, whether it's on a mountain or stuck in some jungle or just dealing with the storms, with the storms of life. Sure, I need it, I need that. But at heart, my Christian faith says that I'm known to Christ. Bought at a price, blessed with light. Faith says that we're loved, regardless of our mess, regardless of how many times we fall down, and that Jesus somehow picks me up. And sure, I'll reach out to that. Why wouldn't I?
I used to think Christianity was boring, untrue, and irrelevant. But when I read about Jesus, I realized he was anything but. Jesus said he's the way to God. He's the one who brings meaning and purpose to your life. He said he's the truth. He said he's the life, that true fulfillment is found in a relationship with God through him.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
And over the weeks ahead, we are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith, and meaning. Think of it this way. If you live to be 70, you're going to spend 20 years and 3 months asleep, 10 years and 5 months watching TV, 5 years and 9 months in some form of transportation, 7 years and 6 months eating and drinking. You have approximately 570,000 hours left to live. So why not spend less than 24 of them asking life's biggest questions?
Welcome to Alpha.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you really enjoyed that video. And we just believe that over the next couple of weeks, it's going to be such an incredible journey. So let's kind of find out from our facilitators, and you're going to get to meet our facilitators. They're a special crew of people. But let's find out from Irene. Let's start with you. What can you do to get the most out of this Alpha journey?
You just come exactly as you are and exactly where you are. You just need an open mind and give it a chance.
Great.
Yeah.
Over to you, Craig.
Yeah, just ask questions. Whatever's on your mind, just ask the question and come with your opinions and enjoy the journey.
Thank you so much, Craig, for sharing, and Irene for sharing. That's what I just love about what you've said. Like, come with your questions. It doesn't matter, come as you are. Our daughter did Alpha, and she did an amazing kind of experience of God. I love the fact that young and old can do Alpha, but kind of tell us a little bit of the logistics about bandwidth and who can connect in. Thanks, Son.
Okay, so basically it's anybody in South Africa can actually log on. All you need is an internet connection. And you're going to send us an email, as Brenda said. You're going to register. We'll then send you login details. It's completely safe. And we're part of a pilot series, so they've actually reduced the bandwidth. So it's going to be far clearer and easier actually to connect.
Okay, that's really great.
Should be good.
And more cost effective.
Yes, definitely more cost effective.
Because, I mean, I know a lot of us kind of are asking questions about, we're using so much data at the moment. So you say it's low on data usage?
Yes. So basically what they've done, it's a pilot series that we're part of. And so the videos will be played through Vimeo, and it's just an internet connection this time.
Thanks so much. And I know you just want to kind of lead us a little bit into what we need to expect. Thanks, Brent.
So I just want to say is just invite your friends and family, and it's just the experience to do it with them together. And it's just be you. Just try Alpha.
So I know that Similo is not with us today, but I know that he'll be facilitating, so you'll see lots of Similo. But I'm just going to hand over to Gary now as he just leads us and just kind of shares, also find a little bit about how you've always connected with Alpha, Gary, for so many years on many different platforms.
Thanks, Jax. Yeah, I just, as we get to wrap up and that, just to say to you that if you're watching this right now, this is not an accident. This is not a fluke that you hear. There's a God-ordained purpose. Whether you may understand that right now or not, that's almost beside the point. The point is that you are here. And it's not too late to ask someone. So just because someone that you may know is not here right now, watching this with you, it's not too late to invite people. So please, and can I say, especially those in that who may be a bit like Irene, who had been along the journey, I think it's always helpful to have someone be part of the journey with you, And I know that if someone invited me to Alpha and came to me, and if I was seeking or I wasn't too sure, and someone came and said, "Hey, come and be part of Alpha, try Alpha, and I'll be with you," just to, because just for you to know that it's a safe place for you to be yourself, for you to ask questions, and all the rest of it, and I will be with you as you journey through this Alpha and that. So I know that if you had to ask someone or invite someone and tell them that you'll be part of the journey with them, it'll help so much. And then when they are offline and during the weekend that leading from the one Alpha to the next, they'll have someone that they can ask questions. I know that the facilitators do an amazing job with that, because everyone thinks that your job is finished when you leave here after Alpha and that, but it's not, because I know your group connect with you often with more questions. Yeah. But if you are partnering with someone on Alpha and that also helps. I know for myself and that in however many years I've been with Alpha, at the moment I'm on the board, the South African board for Alpha. We have seen how Alpha has, even from a South African perspective, how it's changed people's lives. And we have so many things going on in our country right now. But one of the biggest issues that we face, I think, is a spiritual issue. When you look at some of the stuff that's going down in our country, I have no doubt that it's a spiritual issue. And so being part of Alpha and seeing people's lives change on a spiritual level, as well as on so many other levels, I have no doubt that it'll leave an indelible mark on your life and on my life and us as a country in South Africa. So thank you for being here tonight. It's been incredible. And while we are so happy about Alpha Online, obviously we're happy with Alpha Online, we look forward to one day being with you face to face. May God bless you. We will be praying for you literally every day for your journey on Alpha. And we look forward to hearing the testimonies, because you know what? That God has got a testimony lined up for you and for your life. And we can't wait to hear how God has impacted your life. Just want to say thank you to everyone for being here tonight. We're excited about the next couple of weeks. We literally are excited. We're just so glad that not only for us, but also for you, that you're part of a pilot program. You know, this is a pioneering thing for us, and we're glad that you're part of this adventure with us. So thank you to all of you for what you do for Alpha, but most importantly, what you do for God and what you do for the kingdom of God. We look forward to journeying with you over the next couple of weeks. God bless you.